All right. Good morning, everybody. I hope all you guys are doing well. Good to see everybody this morning. I gotta silence my phone here so it doesn't buzz all the time in the background. Put it on the do not disturb mode. So basically what I would like to do today with you guys, and hopefully you're into this, is I'm gonna be working on my own kind of like air quotes agency site. I hate that word. I don't like the word agency. But the idea here is that I'm going to be working on my own site because it's kind of been something that I let sort of fall by the wayside for a long time. So now it's my turn. I get to work on my own site, and you'll kind of see a bit about me and my company outside of Permaslug. So hopefully you guys like that. And then what we're going to do is, if you guys have any questions, feel free to just ask questions about me, the business, whatever, and we'll just kind of walk through. It's going to be super casual. I wanted to explore how a Saturday stream would go instead of just a weekday stream. And so we'll see what happens here. So good morning, Arsh Computing. Nice to see you. So just to show you guys what I have so far here, in my media library, I've kind of cleaned up a lot of this stuff here. I have these icons that were made for me by this local marketing agency. So I had them kind of help me with some of my branding, and then kind of figuring out consistent messaging for the site, which is still in progress. So right now we're really only done with the homepage. But if I show you in, well, it's over here on the other screen. But if I show you in Adobe XD, this is the mock-up that we're basically going to be building. So I'll probably make some tweaks to this. I'm not going to make this like pixel perfect, but it should be fairly close. So I'm going to basically, the idea with this site, like I already mentioned to you guys, is that it's more or less focused specifically around websites, WordPress websites, and then Google. So primarily in paid ads, that's where we kind of specialize. And I typically have a lot of people come to me because they are looking for a more personal approach. And so that's kind of the messaging that we're trying to get across to these clients. Sorry if I pronounce your name wrong, but good morning, Singiz. And so what we're going to do here is basically build this. Right now on this current site, it doesn't look anything like that. So I'll just show you real quick what the homepage looks like. I mean, it's roughly similar, but it's nothing special. So we're basically just going to delete all these templates and start from scratch. And then there was something else I was going to mention to you guys. Well, the other thing is that I'm going to be messing around with the short pixel plugin, the image optimization plugin. And I'm going to have to reset my API key now that you guys have seen this, but I don't really care. So Short Pixel is going to help compress my thumbnails, and all the image sizes. The other cool thing it does is it can create WebP versions. And then when you have the Short Pixel AI plugin installed as well, it's going to try to automatically serve the WebP format if that browser supports it, which is becoming more ubiquitous these days because the WebP format is now supported by like development versions of Safari, and then also I think Firefox, Chrome, and maybe even Edge, now that Edge is on Chromium, work just fine. So anyway, this should be a good test for us from the performance perspective, which is certainly something that I've been kind of thinking about. So let's go ahead and jump into our templates here. So I'm going to go to our Oxygen templates. And you'll notice I have a ton of stuff in here over the years. I've really kind of explored hard with my own website. So a lot of this stuff is pretty old. So August of 2018, these templates are 2 years old. There's some newer stuff, but most of this is just reusable parts. And since I'm in a development install here, I think what I'm going to do is more or less just dump all of this stuff. So I don't need this reusable part. I don't need this, don't need that. Plain header, footer. Not even sure what that template is, but I don't think I'm going to use it. New all pages template. Don't need that. Proposals, posts. I don't even have a blog post template yet. Inner no CTA. I'm pretty sure that one was for like a call us button, contact us page. I don't need a specific template for that. A lot of this stuff was me back early on in my Oxygen kind of usage, and I didn't know what I was doing. So let's just delete basically all of these. Yeah, I'm just going to start completely fresh. I'm going to delete all of these templates, and we're just going to make a new kind of like main site-wide template. So I typically just call this site-wide template like that. And then under the singular, we'll set this to pages. And then something I don't do, but maybe it's worth exploring, is setting this to a catch-all template as well. But I also don't normally make 404 templates. And so I think what I will do is make a 404 template that also is catch-all. And then I'm not sure which way is the right way to go about with that. But we'll kind of look into that in the future. So just the pages template for now. Good morning, Stratus. Good to see you, buddy. So we're going to go ahead and edit this brand new template, and we're going to start from scratch. I think I also need to reset all of my global colors and stuff because this site has been live for a number of years, and I've made a lot of changes and a lot of tweaks to it as we've as we've built this site. So let's jump right over here to settings, global colors, atomic. I don't need the atomic colors, so I'm going to delete those. And then our global color here, actually these are kind of like my brand colors, so I think those will be fine. So we'll kind of keep that. And then let's take a look at our fonts real quick. So we have Quicksand and Mooli in XD. I believe this one is Quicksand. And then what is this one here? That one is Mooli. Okay, so yeah, we do have our global font set, which is good, so we can keep that as is for now. So as you saw in this mock-up here, one of the main things is for me, in my business, I pretty much never get people that are filling out contact forms on my website that actually become customers. They typically call me or they book via the Calendly, which is at the bottom of this mockup. So my goal here is to get them to either call or book, a time with me through Calendly as quickly as possible, so that then, we can have a meaningful discussion and hopefully they become a customer. So seeing my photo here also reminds me, which I'm curious about, I have been considering putting my face, not this particular face, that's an old one, in some of my videos. I had a couple people tell me that it would be engaging if I had my face cam on. Something I'm toying with. Let me know if that's something you guys would like to see, and I'll certainly consider it. Moving back into the actual point of this particular live stream, though, is building this site. So what we're going to do is basically have one div that wraps these two kind of sections right here, and that way we can set that div to, or excuse me, actually a section, sorry. So that way we can set the section to have the heading tag. So let's go ahead and do that. I believe this page width is set to 1440. So we do actually, real quick, while we're still in our global settings, need to go over here to widths and change this to 1440 pixels. I don't typically edit the breakpoints down lower than that when I change the actual page width. So I'd be curious to know what you guys do in that particular case. But for now, I'm just going to leave that. So let's open our structure panel here. And we're going to start off with a section. Now, this section, we're going to go to advanced, size and spacing, and set it to full width. And then we're basically just going to eliminate the padding on all sides there. And then under the primary tab, let's go to header like that. And then we're going to need one div that's going to be kind of that top one, the darker color one that will have the phone number off to the right side. So let's go to advanced, size and spacing, and let's set the, let's see, I forget last time we were using maximum width, I believe. The max width was like 1440, but I also, maybe I want min and max width so that it does take up all that available space. So let's go ahead and take this section and we'll center this content. And then this div here, what color is this one? Looks like it might have, oh, I thought it was a gradient for a second, but it's not. It's 151930. So let's go back here. Background color, like that. Actually, you know what? It takes up all that space in the background. So I'm going to have to change that up just a little bit. I wonder if I'm going to have to go div inside of div. That would be fine, I guess. So if I wrap this div with another one, and then I set this one to 100%. And then this background color, I'm going to do that there. And then now this particular div is fine just as it is. Okay, perfect. Arsh is asking what page width to choose as a new website. What's best practice? That's a good question. I'm not sure exactly what the real best practice would be. I think it kind of depends on your use case. It sort of depends on what you're designing, I would guess that the more important thing would be for mobile considerations. But typically, whenever I'm getting these mock-ups from different designers, it ranges between 1200 pixels and like 1400. In this case, it's 1440. Normally, it's not much more than that. It's usually right in between that 1200 to 1400, something like that. So now we have this phone number with the phone icon here. So inside of this div, let's add a link wrapper, or let's see, link wrapper. No, we want a a link wrapper. So with that, we're going to add in an icon in here. Going to set the phone. Going to set this icon to white. Make that way smaller. I'm going to add about, let's say, 15 pixels of margin off to the right side, and then we're going to do a text link. This text color is going to be white. Yeah, Stratos, that's a good point. The laptop's having a width of 1366. I think I would agree with you there that not much more than that, because otherwise it's going to get pretty wonky on those smaller screen sizes for sure. Alrighty, so my my office phone number, you guys are going to be able to see. This is all real. And basically here, I'm going to set this div on the link wrapper to horizontal alignment like that. Why didn't it do it? Oh, because my text link didn't go. Oh, I guess I have to put a regular text block. I didn't need another text link in there. So like that. So the mistake here was I added a text link inside of a link wrapper, which is not going to work. So now I need to go to this text here and change the color to white. And then now I didn't have to worry about the link wrapper. It actually inherited the horizontal alignment that I chose. Alrighty, so let's take a look at this stuff over here. So do we have any special font considerations? So we have Muli, size 14, semi-bold. So we probably do need to bump up the font weight on this real quick. So let's go to like 500. That looks pretty accurate. And then on this div here, I do believe we want to right align that. Also, how much spacing do we have here? So one thing that I learned in Adobe XD that you can do is hold the Alt key, Alt key, and put your mouse over this content. This spacing is a little bit off. There's 5 pixels on the top and 11 on the bottom. So I'm just going to take the median there and go like, actually it says 6 and 11. So what would, let's just do 6 and 6 on the top and bottom there. We're going to go 6 pixels. Like that, and then that should be good for that particular one. So now I think we want to add one more div, and that's going to go down beneath everything else. Set this one to 100%, and then once again we're going to add in another div inside of that. I believe once again we're going to do the minimum width of 1440 and maximum width of 1440, and then set this div to center align. What was the color we had here in XD? Oh, that's just white. Okay. That makes it nice and simple. So we're going to pop in an image element over here on the left side. And then we're going to toss in the logo here. Somewhere I have the small version of my logo like that. That looks kind of compressed, a little weird. So perhaps I'll come back to that later on. But we have the logo there. Then let's go ahead and for our menu links here, I think I'm going to add one more div so that wraps those links, not laps those links, but then that way we can have this all right aligned and it will look nice and pretty. So let's go ahead and inside of this div here, we're going to add another one. We're going to set this one, actually we're not even going to set the width on this. What we're going to do is just on this div wrapping the logo in the menu here, set that to horizontal alignment, and then we're going to go space between. Inside of this div, I'm going to set this to stack horizontally. And then we're going to set that to middle align. Now I'm going to add in some text links. Or should we use the menu component? Because last time we did this, we just basically made the text links in a simple modal menu. But actually, since we didn't do this last time, I'm going to use the Pro menu so that way on the mobile devices, we have kind of like a slide-in menu or something more interesting like that. So we are going to use our WordPress main menu here. And then the mobile menu, we're going to toggle below. Let's go less than 992. For our desktop menu here, horizontal is what we want. Our typography is one of our colors here. Which one is this? I honestly don't even know. the 254679. So what global color is that? 255, I don't even have that. We're gonna go link color. I'm not sure exactly where that color came from. 254 what? 254679 is this new global color. Okay, so our color here is going to be this global link color. And then the font weight, I would imagine, is 500 at the very least, possibly even more. It's considered black. I don't know exactly what that equates to. That must be like 700, actually. We're going to bump up the font weight to 700. Excuse me. This says it's a size of 14, which I don't think we want it to be that small. I think we want it to be like 16 at a minimum. So I'm going to bump this font size to 16. Ow, wow, that's actually way smaller. I'm just going to leave it as is. And then letter spacing, let's set to like 1 pixel. Line height, maybe like 2. Looks pretty good to me. And then spacing, align, and border. So item padding, do we want that? What's the difference between item padding and item margin here? I guess item padding would mean that if you hover over it, that padding exists out, you know, to the other sides of that particular link, whereas the margin is going to just basically put sort of like empty space there. So answer my own question. In this case, I do want item margin off to the right of all of these links, but I think I do probably want some padding of maybe like 5 pixels all the way around. It does look a little wonky with those borders, but the item padding, I believe, is going to give you a little bit of extra space to click. So you can see with just a little bit of extra space off to the sides of the link all the way around, so my mouse is still clickable. Whereas if I don't have that, then it's going to be basically only on that text. So that works. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so now what do we need to do? So let's take this div here and we're going to middle align this. I don't have any drop downs in this actual mockup, but I do in the current menu. So we'll go change that in the WordPress menu here in just a little bit. This particular XD mockup does have quite a bit of space here. So how much space do we have between these links? So 33 pixels on top and 39 on the bottom. So let's just call it 35 top and bottom. So on this particular div, I think we're going to probably want to do that to the menu element and not the logo there. So I guess we could just do basically like 15 top and bottom around that logo. So let's do that. So our size and spacing here, we're going to do 15 top and 15 bottom like that. Kind of give this menu some breathing room there. And that's starting to look reasonably good, although I feel like our desktop menu, we would want the font size to be, oh gosh, not that big. No way. I feel like we'd want it to be a bit bigger, like maybe like 20 pixels? We can kind of play with this. We'll come back to that, but these are also uppercase. So we want to set this text transform to uppercase. Here we go. Strata says item padding will affect the background or borders, mostly when hover margin will live in empty space for the background. Yeah, so that's exactly what I realized after I said it was the difference there. Could definitely be beneficial if you have like a hover background color, for instance. I think in the mockup that looks even heavier than 700. So I don't know if this particular font has a font weight of 900, but let's look. It must be that. It certainly must be that. So that's starting to look pretty reasonable there. I'm trying to mute my mic every couple seconds here because I keep having to clear my throat, so I'm trying not to blow your ears out. If I go silent, that's why. Okay, so Arsh is asking in this discussion of margin and padding here when to use one or the other. So let me throw in a section here and I'm going to basically demonstrate when you would want to do that. So let's do something like a heading and some text here. So in the case of something like margin, let's say I want there to be some space beneath this particular heading here. So what I would do is add margin. You could do the padding, but what will happen is if you use padding, let's say you add 15 pixels of padding all the way around, that puts space basically inside sort of like the frame of this element. And to demonstrate that a little bit more clearly, If I were to set a background color and then, yeah, Stratus, you're right, a div is probably better than a heading. But if I were to put a background color in here of, let's say, like this light blue, that padding has now taken effect basically around that heading. Let me bump this up to something like 50 pixels so you can see that. So with that, then you can see that the padding is basically the space between the edge of the element and the content inside of it. So if I remove this and change it to margin, then that's going to go to spacing outside of that element. So you can see I still do have the same amount of space, but like my background and my borders and stuff are not going to be affected by that. So let's do this. So I'm going to remove this background color, and I'm going to set a border on the bottom of this particular element of blue, and then let's just set it to like a width of 5 pixels so that we can see it. If I go in here and I use padding, that's basically going to push the border down. So let's set 25 pixels of padding like that. So that pushes the border down beneath the element. But let's say I wanted to keep the border right underneath the heading, but I wanted to push this text block down there, further down. I would use margin in that case. So the 25 pixels of margin adds that space, but doesn't affect things like my borders there. So I know that's a quick little crash course in the difference, but it's more or less inside the element or outside the element is how I kind of think of it. So margin affects the space outside of what you're working on, and then the padding is going to be the stuff inside of it. So hopefully that's clear as mud. If you still have any questions, let me know. But I'm just going to leave this for the moment in case we need to come back to it. So I'm not really too happy with this Pro menu. I think probably because that font weight is one step too high, one more than I like. So I'm just going to set this to 700. And then perhaps the letter spacing is also what's throwing it off. I'm not sure if there's a way to see letter spacing here. I guess character spacing is 156 what? I don't really know what kind of like metric that is, but that's fine. I'll just leave it as is for now. So in our mockup here, is that the extent of our heading? I do believe it is. So let's go down to our footer here, because we definitely need to work on this footer. So there's this kind of cool, you can see like faded gradient, which is this logo element in the background. And then it's got this lighter blue on the left side and the darker blue on the right, or maybe it's technically some sort of black, but that definitely it can be, we can recreate that pretty easily. And then we also have this kind of like copyright section with the lighter footer color. I don't ever put the copyright stuff on websites just because it's, website's not actually copyright. But what I typically do is put their, full address for the sake of like the, Google being able to pick that up and have that address on every site. Sometimes I'll do like the schema in that area as well. But in this case, we're just basically going to build this footer. So we're going to do the same thing like we did to the the header. And so what I'm going to do here is open my structure panel, minimize that section or close it. And then I'm going to toss in, actually I'm not going to worry about the inner content at the moment. Scratch that. So I'm going to do another section here. We're going to bump this down to the bottom of the page and we're going to change this tag to footer. Once again, I'm going to go to the size and spacing and just zero out the padding all the way around. And then we're going to set this to full width. Inside of that, we're going to go add one div here that's going to be 100% width. Inside of that div, we're going to do another one, and it's basically going to be the same thing. So size and spacing, the minimum width will be 1440, and max width will be 1440. On this other div, I'm going to set this to center. And then in our XD mockup, let's see. So how do I grab this image? Oh, that's pretty cool. So it's basically that logo element just turned, what is that, 45 degrees more or less? So I just need to basically export that. So that's an SVG. Or well, I guess I could do PNG. I don't really want to do that, but using short pixel, like I showed you guys earlier, I think is going to be pretty cool because the short pixel should serve the best version of that image on the fly. So I'm going to export that. Let's go over to, I guess it's going to be this div here. And let's set, do we set a background image? Is that what we want here? I'm honestly not entirely sure. This is going to be Oh wait, that's the full version of the logo? That's not what I was expecting. No, that's just like the logo, kind of like branding piece. I think I have that on this site somewhere, like a standalone element, but that one's got color to it. I'll at least just kind of explore with this. So no repeat. Background position, we go like 50%? Or is it negative 50%? How do I do this? Maybe I need to add a div inside of this one, and then that div's background is going to be that image. And then that way I can kind of position this div more where I want it. So the background, we're going to go cover, no repeat. This layout, we're going to go to, I believe we want absolute. And we're going to go like negative, what, 25 pixels? Negative 30 pixels from the left. Something like that. This is kind of a tricky one. I don't know exactly what the best way, well, this is the wrong image to be playing with anyway, because this one's a rectangle and the other one's a square. That doesn't really help us. I wonder if I can export this. So mark for export, export that. Main dark logo, copy 5, PNG. Already exists, that's fine. So let's switch that out real quick. 5. Oh, can't see it. But we already have that. This is so weird. It's almost like the other bits of that logo got chopped off in the design. I don't really know. So I guess I need to get that white version of my logo real quick. So let me see if I can find that. I know I have it. Logos for web. Maybe I don't have that individual element in just white, but it is in this mockup here. I wonder if I can just, well, no, once again, this one's a square. This is really odd. I am going to skip that for now. I don't want to waste a bunch of time trying to position this div. I just more or less want to build that footer. So what we're going to do here is take this gradient for this particular section. So this fill, the left color is the 254679, and this other one is 151930. So I'm going to take this particular color, this first one, if I can click it again, and we're going to go on this div, set advanced background gradient. We're going to have 2 colors here. That'll be the first one. Do we have that color here? What are my global colors? So these are a little bit off. I don't really know why. I'm going to add this other one. So gradient left is just what I'll call it. And then set that color there. Is that the same color? Oh, I already have that color. I'm ridiculous. Sorry, you guys. Okay, so moving on. The other one is the 192048. Is that what it is? 151930. So it's close enough. I'm just going to use this other darker global color. And so our angle, I think we want at like 120. So that way the color starts on the left side and moves over to the right, as you can see, like that. Welcome, welcome. Glad to see you guys here. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, so in the footer here we have how much space on the top of these divs here. So, there we go. So it's 75 and then 35. That's not quite accurate, I don't feel like. Let's just go 75 top and bottom to keep it consistent. So on this div, I'm going to go 75 pixels of padding top and bottom. In this div, we're going to add an image element so we can toss in that white version of the logo. Just kind of that white standalone element, which I think I do need to export as it turns out. So let's see. Mark for export. Can you like, okay. So that's what happened there. They basically just chopped off the word in that particular logo. So I guess I need to just pull that out in Photoshop, make my own version of it real quick. So let's do that. All right. Oh boy, you guys could see a brief glimpse of some videos that are coming up. Hopefully you guys are not the type of people that don't like spoilers. Because it's too late. All right, so let's take this one here. And then that's unbelievably blurry. So maybe let me go. I'm just going to open this particular version. Oh, no, no, no. That's not what I want. You can see I'm not a Photoshop expert by any means. So main, all white. So then I'm just basically going to, oops. I'm basically just going to crop this stuff here. So you can take the logo element like that. I can't quite see where it is. I could invert it real quick, but instead I'm just going to do it the hard way and do like this. Go. So now I'm going to save this to my downloads as a PNG. Logo element like that. All right, so let's get out of here, come back over to WordPress, and then our logo element there. I'm gonna pop that in this left side. How big is it in the mockup here? I guess I gotta go back. So that element is 139 wide by 100 high. So I'm just gonna set the width to like 130. And then what do we have under this? Kind of the tagline and then some text. So this font size is 22 and that one is 18. So are they both quicksand? They sure are. Now, let's go pop some margin underneath this heading here. Probably need more than 15, but that's also what I typically do. I'm not going to be doing any e-commerce today. No product search page design, not on this particular site, but maybe in the future. I'm just not e-commerce savvy. Stratos, is that something that you do? Is WordPress, or excuse me, like Oxygen WooCommerce? Please feel free to drop a link to your channel in the chat, because if you do e-commerce, people should watch your stuff. Certainly not my expertise. So I'm going to type your business accelerated, which is my tagline. And then let's add, I don't know, maybe like 10 pixels of margin and then a simple text element here. And then in XD, I'm just going to copy and paste this, pop in this text here, and the text color is going to be white. I probably need to wrap this stuff with a div so that it doesn't spill out all the way over there. So let's go to our structure pane. I'm going to save real quick here. Let's open this image, wrap with div, heading, text, and then how wide do we need to make this? So let's estimate how much of the screen in terms of percentage the stuff is taking up. So over here we have, I don't know, maybe like 35 or 40%. So let's just set this div here to like 35%. We're going to set this to left align, and then I'm going to duplicate this out. We're going to set this div to horizontal alignment like that, and then 65% width on that guy. We might need to change that. Oh yeah, we definitely need to change that because I have these text links plus some social media icons. So let's do this. We're going to basically just delete this stuff in here. We're going to add a text link, give it a class of footer links like that. I probably should have cleaned out all of my existing classes because there's a ton of junk in there. That's okay though. Let's set this text color to just like a little bit of an off-white. EF. Hover color we're going to set to white. Stratus says, I do Woo, but not with Oxygen. Actually, I'm releasing a comparison video in a few days. Elementor with Cadence is faster with less requests. Hopefully Oxygen will get better in WooCommerce. Yeah, I really hope that Oxygen does get better in WooCommerce because it's something that I'd like to explore, but I mean, I just felt like it was kind of lacking in some really key ways, so I just kind of stopped even trying, to be honest. But that's okay. I'm actually going to change this text color to be fully white, and then I don't know what hover color is going to look good. think those are all going to be too dark, but that's okay. I'll just leave that hover color there for now. And then let's add like 10 pixels of margin. I think you may need more than that, but 10 pixels of margin below. Voice quality is not clear. Anybody else noticing hiccups in the stream? I'm showing good connection on my side. I haven't gotten any warnings yet. Hopefully it's not my fault. Although I will say it is raining outside and I've heard some thunder, so it could be it could be my internet service provider not doing well in the storm right now. So let me know if there's a stream hiccup. Okay. Strato says he can hear me clearly. So I'm gonna keep moving on here. So we have home, websites, Google, portfolio, about, contact. So home, just gonna duplicate this out a couple of times. Websites, Google, and then portfolio, about, contact. Portfolio, about, and then contact. All the typical web pages that you would expect to hear. Okay, so typography is uppercase, and then font weight is definitely higher. Let's see, I wanted to make sure what font this is. So that one's Mooli. Is that one already inheriting? Yeah, it is, because it's just a standard text element. So inherit. I'm gonna set this font weight to maybe like 500. 700 is pretty high, but maybe if I bump up the letter spacing just a little bit, that'll look perfectly fine. So I'm gonna delete this text element now. And then in the mockup, we have 3 links on one side and 3 on the other. So I wonder if I do 3 in one div and 3 in the other. If I save this, and then let's see here. I guess I would just add another div. I need to change this one's width from 65 to maybe like 25. Oh, you know what? The easiest thing to do is just going to be to duplicate this one, and then we're just going to delete these 3 links out of this one. Oh wait, I did the wrong ones. Undo, to the rescue! Home, websites, Google. I need to delete these 3. And then on this one over here, I need to delete those 3. And then 25% width is way too much. Let's go like 15% on these 2. That looks more like it. I'm gonna middle align this content here. Is that how it is here? Oh no, it's actually bottom aligned. So let's go bottom like that. And then on these lowest text links, we're basically just gonna go remove the margin from the ID of those elements. That way it kind of sits right on that bottom line with this other text there. You guys know me, I'm a fan of saving, so I'm gonna do that. And then the far right side is just to follow us with some social media icons. So let's go ahead and duplicate this one over there. And then I'm gonna set this to, I don't know what the total is gonna be, 35% width like that. Sparky asks, is it possible to use third-party blocks like Cadence with Oxygen? Will they display correctly? And Stratos says, not inside Oxygen Builder. You can use on a post for a website that's created with Oxygen. Gotcha. So how does Cadence compare to Gutenberg? I know there's been a lot of hype about Cadence lately, but I haven't explored it at all, if I'm being perfectly honest. So in this case, in this div, I'm going to keep working while you guys are chatting. I'm going to delete these text links, and then let's add in a simple text element that just says follow us. I'm just going to use the footer links class so that I get that white kind of bold color, which I actually, now that I do that, I don't even need that because it's just a light gray. What color is that? It's a 9-7 color. So I'm going to delete the footer links class off here and just use this, 9-7 color like that. Oh, so Cadence is a theme. Gotcha. Okay. I didn't even know that. I thought maybe it was some kind of competitor to Gutenberg, but apparently not. And then let's just go, let's use the social icons element, which I know isn't the best thing ever, but it will at least give us the circle. And then what do we have here? So the blue with the white icons. Okay. So background color, I don't know. Let's see, icon color, we want white. Is background color the border? I just want the border. Well, we had this problem last time. Hirwa asks, hopefully I got your name right. Hirwa, I'm thinking about switching my clients to Cloudways, and I was wondering how you deal with sending transactional emails from WordPress and how you handle domain names. So funny enough, I actually have a video coming middle of next week with a detailed walkthrough of Cloudways and exactly how I kind of set everything up. So that answer will be coming in that video, but I'll tell you now, as far as the transactional emails in Cloudways, they give you the option to turn on this service. They call it Elastic Email, and that handles all of the transactional email, which works beautifully. It's super cheap. I think I only pay like a couple of bucks a month across all my servers for it. And that handles all the transactional email, and I don't have to do anything in WordPress. I just basically turn it on the server, and then it works perfectly fine. And then as far as domain names, I let my clients keep their domain names unless they want to buy it for me. And then I just basically change the A record and the C name, and that's it. I don't touch name servers. I just leave them with whoever whoever the provider is. I don't want to mess with people's name servers. And so yeah, hopefully that works. Hopefully that helps you. I'm going to delete the social icons. I agree with you guys. The social icon element is not terribly ideal in this case. So we're just going to use the regular icon element. Sorry, some super loud truck just drove by. Hopefully that wasn't too loud for you guys. So let's just call this social icons as our class. Color we're going to set to white. The icon size, let's drop down to like 25 pixels. Change this one to Facebook. I think we just want the F, right? Yeah. So the F inside there. Let's add like 15 pixels of margin around the icon, and we'll go to border. Our color was like our light blue here. Width 1, solid, and then perfect. I didn't even have to set the border radius. I was thinking I would have to do a border radius of like 100%, but I don't even have to do that. So now what I want to do, just to kind of change things up a little bit, is on the hover state, I want to set the color of the border to white. And then I need to go back to original effects. Transition is going to be 0.2 seconds. And then timing function is ease in out. So there's a little hover effect. So the icon color doesn't change, but the border color does. So that's kind of cool. I need to wrap this with one more div. We're getting a bit of divception here, but that's okay. I'm going to set this to 15 pixels of margin on the right side. Set this div to horizontal align, and then let's just go bottom. And then this one we're going to change to Instagram. And those icons look a little bit big. Maybe I just put too much padding around those icons, and I probably need to bump the icon size down just a tad. So let's go 20 pixels, and then I'm going to change this to 10 pixels around. That looks better in my opinion. They don't need to be big. That'll work perfectly fine. Okay, so let's save here, and then underneath this here, this blue div will be pretty easy to make. Another question from Hira, he asks, excellent. Looking forward to the video next week. Thanks for the response. And do you also create pro emails? If so, which service do you use? So in that case, I pretty much just will set up Google Business for people. Every once in a while, depending on the client, I will help them with Office 365 if they really, really want that. But for the most part, I pretty much always set people up on G Suite, whatever it's called now, Google Workspace, I guess. Because of the fact that it's so easy to use, it just never ever has problems. And most people are pretty familiar with Gmail. So I like to keep people with whatever they're familiar with. And typically I'll just charge, labor to set that up for them, and people are normally happy with that. Not a service I offer, outwardly, but if somebody asks me about it, I will definitely do it. Okay, So let's go ahead and minimize all these divs here. In this section, I'm going to add one more div that's going to be 100% width. This background color is going to have our light blue here, which I actually don't think is a global color. I said that before and I was wrong, but in this case, I really don't think that's the case. So let's set this as a background color, and we're just going to call this aqua blue. Now, because of the fact that this is just a single text element, I don't really need to worry about the extra div and all of the like spacing and stuff. The text I'm just going to put in the middle here, and then let's check the spacing. How much spacing is here? Oh, not telling me. So 20 pixels top and bottom. I'm going to go on this div, 20, 20 like that. We're going to set this text element to white, and then I'm just going to type in my address here, 34990 Gold Coast Parkway, Suite 310, Destin, FL 32541. So now I can just basically go ahead and center that, and perfect. So now we have that footer and our heading completed. Stratus says they can't pay Gmail $5 every month per account. I would recommend to look at MX Route. That is the cheapest solution. Yeah, that's a good option. I haven't been interested in managing the emails for people or having them have some sort of like, I don't want to use the term on-premise solution because I don't know what MX Route is actually like, but I just never wanted to have any kind of responsibility for the management of their emails. So that's why I always recommend Google. You just pay a few bucks a month for somebody else to handle it for you effectively. So I asked this question earlier, but I'm not sure how many of you guys were on at the time. I was wondering, well, I had a couple people ask me to start doing face cam, like put my video, my face video in the content that I'm posting on YouTube and also the live streams, which is something I'm not opposed to, but I never have because I personally just didn't care to see people's faces when I'm watching WordPress tutorials. So let me know your opinion on that. I know Stratus chimed in with a good point, but I'm curious to hear what other folks think on that perspective as well. So here I'm going to set this, I just want a little bit of extra padding between these divs. So I think in this div on the right side, I'm just going to set like 15 pixels of padding. All right, so that looks perfectly fine. I want to go ahead and set these links. So I need to set these to my home page. I have a bunch of pages on this site that I need to delete. I forgot about that. I meant to point that out earlier. So website design, I'll probably rename that page. Google, I don't think I have a specific page called Google, but I'm going to create that. So I'm going to leave that off for the moment, and I'm going to redirect those SEO pages to the Google page. So portfolio, I don't think I have that yet either. About, not sure where that stands at the moment. About our company, I'm going to rename that to about, and then contact. Hopefully I have a contact page on the site. Yeah, there we go. All right. So now the other thing that I moved on before I actually completed was the Pro menu here. So let's take a look real quick on the front end of this site. I don't have an inner content on this. Oh, that page doesn't have this particular template set up. So let me change that real quick. I'm going to go to this default site-wide template and update that. And let's take a look real quick. I just wanted to see how all of this looks. Looks okay. I need to add that hover transition effect. I thought I did that, but maybe it didn't take for whatever reason. So Stratus, you bring up a good point on the relative URLs. The thing is, I used to worry about that as well, but nowadays, since everything I do is in Cloudways, the relative URLs aren't as big of an issue for me because the way that Cloudways changes the URLs for you when you add a domain name is just so seamless that I really don't even have to worry about that, which is super nice. So we're going to go to effects, transition, 0.2 seconds, ease in, out, and then now we should have that fade effect when we hover over those text links, which is nice. In terms of this particular Pro menu, I didn't like how bold that font was, so I'm going to drop the Well, the font weight was already at 700. I thought it was at 900 for some reason. Maybe it's because the font size is at 20. So I'm going to drop that back to 18. And then let's see, what else did I notice on the front end? Just wanted to kind of take a look here. Oh, interestingly, the phone number in this div here are way off. I want the phone number to be on the right side of the content. So what did I do here? Did I not set this div to a max width? 1440. What about this one? 1440. Right align. Huh. Oh, I guess it's because this contact link is kind of not pushed to the far right side. Or, well, no, that has nothing to do with it. It's the phone number. Why? Why? Is that something to do with the Pro menu? Air quotes Pro. That's why I don't typically like to use the Pro menu. It's weird because it's like that in the back end, but it's not like that in the front end. Maybe if I go back to the Pro menu, I'm going to turn off desktop drop-downs. And then can I change the spacing here? So item margin is 25 pixels. I don't think it's anything to do with this though. What did I do wrong up here that's throwing this off? So the div, right align. I guess that wasn't right aligned. Oh no, I don't want that. So turn off that alignment. This div is right aligned. The link wrapper is set properly. This is super weird. So where is the edge of the content then? Yeah, so it's just not going to edge of the content. I just scratched my head super hard trying to figure this out. That's super weird. I didn't set a class or anything, right? What did I do wrong? Maybe the problem is the way I've set min width and max width. Very, very odd. I don't know why that would be. Anyway, I'm going to move on. Not terribly concerned about that at the moment. What I'm going to do now is basically delete this section, and then I need to add an inner content element so we can start designing the inner content of these pages. We're going to bump this up in the middle and set the minimum height of the inner content to like 85 VH. So that way, if I have a page with just a little bit of content, then it won't be kind of floating in the center of the page. I wonder if there's some sort of like caching issue. There we go. So Stratus, the issue here is I, for whatever reason, can't get the phone number element to line up on the right side of the content right there. So you can see like the edges of the content are stretching out that way, but for some reason I can't get the phone number to line up. Let me look at this and inspect real quick. Width is 100%. Oh gosh, I just don't know. I just don't understand what I did. Yeah, I'm not sure. I am going to step away for 2 seconds. Well, not 2 seconds, just a minute to go to the restroom. So I'm going to take a quick break and I will be right back. All right, I'm back. Yeah, good suggestions here. Stratos, let me duplicate this, and then I was just thinking the same thing as you with the min width and the max width here. So perhaps I want to set it to have an actual width of 1440 pixels like that. And then let's take a look again. I just don't understand why it's set to right align. Oh, that's a good idea. 0 pixel margin left. Oh wait, no. Top and bottom 0, and then auto like that. Let's see if that works. Wow, what a genius you are, Andrea. Well, I said your name correctly. Delete that. So what is it about the margin that would have any impact on that? Because I hadn't actually set any margin, and I wanted this to right align in this div. So is there some margin being inherited? Like even though it says 0, it's not actually 0. What if I set that to 0 like that? Does it change it anything? That's so weird. That is super weird. Interesting. That would have been a really odd one for me to figure out, but I got it. So there we go. That's fixed now. That's exactly what I wanted. Thank you very much. So at this point, the other thing is, another little quirk of like using the pro menu that I'm not a huge fan of is things like this. Like now I want this contact to be aligned on the right side, but without basically knowing the CSS, it would be pretty difficult because you have under the desktop menu spacing option here, we have 25 pixels of margin to, the right of all of these these, text links. But how would you change that for the last one other than kind of looking at CSS, figuring out what menu ID it is, and then, basically turning off the margin there? So, I don't know. Probably a problem for another day because I want to just basically get this situated. But now we have that. So let's go ahead and start working on the home page. So I'm going to get out of this, and then we're going to find our home page in this list. We have a ton of stuff here, as you can see, lots of stuff I need to clean up, but we're just going to edit the home page with Oxygen. Okay, so in our mockup here, let me zoom out a bit, get back up to the top. So we have this kind of like hero section with the image and this picture of the laptop as the background. I'm going to play with this a little bit. So I honestly like this image that I have here of that MacBook more than I like this dark one like that. So I don't know that this font and this text is going to show up on top of it, but we can go ahead and just see kind of what the styling would look like here. So delete this stuff, delete this, and then we build websites that accelerate your business. So that width is 980. So I'm going to set a heading here. The max width will be 980 pixels. Yeah, so Andrea, that would definitely be the way to do it. Use that CSS to target that particular link. That's one of those things that I feel like you shouldn't have to do, Like, I mean, I guess it makes sense that the margin carries over to that link too, but it would be nice for there to be some sort of option to be able to turn that off or configure it on a specific link basis. Oh, the other thing I forgot to do is configure the mobile menu. I meant to do that, but I'll come back and do that. So this particular heading is quicksand. It's size 65. We'll go 65 like that. It's already quicksand. Font was white, but I don't think it needs to be white. Kamal says he does left margin 12 and right margin 12 instead of 24 on the right side so that there's only 12. Yeah, that's a good point. I guess that would work. I'm particular and I want it to be like perfectly aligned. I'm sure most people that come to the site probably don't even notice, but that's something for me that I'm like, I want that to be fixed. Okay, so I'm not super thrilled on this particular image, but the white font is not going to stand out on the image that I have now. So a few options. Obviously, I could just use this image like it's in the mockup. I could add an overlay to the current image of the MacBook laptop, or find a different image, which I'm not terribly thrilled about. What happens if I change this text color to be one of these other global ones that we have? None of those are particularly thrilling to me, even though they're my brand, my brand colors, funny enough. So what about if we add an overlay? Oh, there already is a bit of an overlay. That's funny. I hadn't realized that. So the text color, again, let's just check out some of these. Well, let's go back to the image overlay that we were discussing, and we can make that a bit darker. Something like that. And then let's take the heading, turn that to white. I don't think I really like this direction that we're heading, if I'm honest. I just like kind of the idea of a white, sort of brighter site, especially for my own. That's sort of the theme that I like to go for. And then this button says book a call. Let's toss a button element in here. And then I'm going to call this button new button, or actually just button new like that. Okay, so we have a rounded effect to that button. And then let's see, our font size there is what? It is 14. I'm going to bump that up a little bit. But the button is 200 pixels wide by 25 high. So let's go like maybe like 10 top and bottom, and then like 25, 25. Then our border color, or excuse me, our border radius, what is that, like 25 pixels? Typography is Mooley. 18 pixels, I think, is already what it's set at, so I don't really need to worry about that stuff. That's all being kind of inherited. Font weight of 500, and then letter spacing of maybe 1.5. Oh no, definitely not. I don't like that. All right, and then our color was what? Our color is that lighter kind of aqua blue. So we should just be able to pull that right out of our global colors there. And then our button hover, not sure exactly what hover color would be best. That one's pretty dark. It's not much of a change. So let's just go ahead and add our effects. Transition, 0.2, timing, ease in, out like that. That really is not much of a change, and in fact, I don't really like the way that those colors change. So let's just go with our darker option like that. That looks perfectly fine. So book a call like that, and that button just feels so tiny beneath that gigantic heading. So maybe I just need to add some extra padding. So 35, 35, 12, 12, something like that. That looks pretty good. Oh yeah, Stratos, I forgot you had a video on Cloudways too. I forgot. I watched that when it came out and then didn't remember that you had that. I'll have to check it out again too. That letter spacing a bit more. It's got to be more like 1.5 pixels, yeah. I'm glad you liked that video, Kamal. All right, so maybe I can even bump this overlay up a bit more. 35. And then what about some text shadow? Black, we'll bump that down to like 15. And then like 0, oops, not 9. 0 pixels, 1 pixel, and then 3. A little bit of text shadow actually makes that text lift up off the page a bit, which is pretty cool. And then I want to do a bit of a box shadow behind this stuff here. So box shadow is going to be black, 15 pixels, and then I copy a design set I saw 0, 10, 20, 0. That looks decent. It kind of lifts it up off the page, which I really like. And then I'm not really too worried about the hover box shadow. I'm just going to leave it with that what do you call it? Like background color hover change. I know that's super technical. Strata says Cloudway's high frequency is super fast. How much faster did you find that it was? I'm sure it's in the video, so I can watch that, but I was just curious kind of what you saw in terms of the performance on like a real life basis. So that stuff is centered. What does it look like if this is centered? I think that would mean, what about if we bump this up, font weight? Oh yeah, I knew what you meant. I knew you meant Vulture high frequency, but I wasn't sure. I didn't say that. I said Cloudways high frequency. That particular font at 700, I don't really know that I like. I like. Let me know if I'm saying your name wrong. Hirwa. He says, I've been liking the text link more, and I said he. Sorry, I'm just assuming genders here. I apologize about that. The text link more than the standard button because I find I can customize it more. I would say that that's probably true. There's not a whole lot that I want out of a button, so the button element typically works perfectly fine. Which is funny too because like the button element, I don't really ever use the built-in features like the size and the button style and stuff. So it's kind of funny that I even use this, but it just kind of like Strata said earlier, it just became a habit. So that's kind of the way that I do it. Just for the sake of example, I'm going to go ahead and export this image, background image. Wait, there we go. So I'm going to mark that for export. And then I know it's a PNG, so it's not the best thing ever, but I just want to see what that image would look like if we actually use it instead of that one that I've had there forever. And then I'm going to set this to cover. I'm going to remove this overlay and then top 50% probably. Okay. Bump up this margin a bit, make that like 50 pixels. So it is, Oxygen team in their videos use the text link, so don't feel sad. Yeah, that's really true. That's really true. So one thing I was going to mention is it's really storming outside my house right now. So if the stream just randomly ends, it's probably because my power or my internet go out. So I apologize in advance. I didn't just run away from you guys. So if that happens, I will hop in chat on my phone and let you guys know. But anyway, so this image, what do you guys think? Do you like this image or do you like the other one, the brighter version with the MacBook more? Because I think each one kind of has their sort of like drawback. In terms of it being consistent with the rest of the design, there's a bit of like a I don't know, sort of like a retro kind of like neon vibe going on. So in terms of like that feel, that first image doesn't really jive, I guess. So maybe I'll just stick with this image, be consistent here. Curious your thoughts though. And then Andrea says this image, yeah. I kind of am feeling it. I feel like it's one of those things that it's change, it feels a bit different, so I need to just like probably stick with it for a little bit. Strata says the previous image for me and left online the text. Yeah, I mean I feel you. That's exactly what I was thinking. I also kind of want to change this a bit to have the hero image and this button just be all that lives on this particular hero portion. Also, I want to remove this border, so I'm going to unset that border. But I want to make this just kind of live right here. And then in the mockup, we have this whole block. I basically want to make this its own section. Oh wait, that font is a lot lighter than this font. So what if I bump that down to 500? Yeah, That looks good. Okay, so now I want to take this whole section, but I don't want that border behind it. I just want the content out of it. So I think I have those icons. So let's go ahead and pop in a section here. I'm going to add, let's just use like the standard columns element so we don't have to bother with the like responsive options. More modern with the left align. So Stratos, in your opinion, is this layout right here with the text kind of centered, is that a bit outdated, or what do you think? While you're typing there, I'm gonna pop in an image element here, browse this guy, and then in our mockup we have this 3 people, a little lightning bolt, and then like a green guy, little like growth. So we have the people here with the white. I'm going to use the colored versions of these actually. And these I'm going to have to shrink because they're 1,000 pixel PNG icons. So obviously I'm going to change that. But what size are these actually? So those are basically 60 width and height. So I'm going to go not 650, 60 pixels like that. Let's center this div and then we'll middle align. Probably should set a class here, but I'm not going to do that because all I need to do is add some margin. And then I'm going to set a heading here with the tag of like H3. Well, actually, you know what? I'm setting a bad example. Let me go back here. So I'm going to set a class for like, what do I want to call this? Like, I'm just going to use the class H3 headline H3. Yeah, something like that. So we're going to go tag H3. We're going to set the font size to 22 pixels. Typography is going to be uppercase. And then this heading is people driven. People hyphen driven. The next one is performance driven and then growth driven. So I'm just going to duplicate these divs so I don't have to do it again. And then performance is this little lightning bolt. Oops, look at that little oxygen bug that's been there forever. Performance driven. And then the last one was growth. So this little flowering tree. Growth. Oh, that's so annoying. I'm sure you guys have experienced that. Growth driven. Okay, so good question. Arsh Computing asks, he's a bit confused every time he builds a new website when to choose column and when to choose a div. So pretty much the only time that I don't use, anytime that I use the column, it's basically when I don't want there to be any spacing between the divs. Because if I tried to add extra margin to, let's say, like the right side of this div, it's going to push the content out. So I usually use divs whenever I need to have that extra space, and I want the width of the divs to be less than 100%, so I have that space between the divs. And then the other thing is the columns right out of the box have the kind of like responsive options, so it will stack vertically. You can do reverse column order, which is pretty cool. You can also do that with a div, but you have to just like basically manually set it. It's not a drop down like this. So if you look at the other live that I did like 2 weeks ago, you can see that there's quite a few times I like manually built the divs instead of building, using the columns. Okay, so now we have this. There's this like fill color here, but not really too sure about that because it's not on top of the hero image. I don't really think I want it on top of the hero image. I just don't think it's going to look that good. So maybe let's set this background color to like some sort of off-white, like F7. I don't know. Even that though, maybe if we reduce the margin, the column padding like that. People driven, performance driven, growth. Yeah. I guess that's fine. That'll be good enough. I'm gonna delete all this garbage. So that can go, and then I'm gonna leave that because it has my Calendly booking info. So this section has what? So the why choose us with a photo of me. So we're gonna go, let's just basically do another columns element. We'll go 50-50 this time. In this left-hand side, we're gonna use an image of me. And then I actually have a new headshot. I'm gonna go grab that real quick. Where is it? I'm gonna need to crop it too to make it a circle, probably. Where is the photo? Oh, I think I found it. Oh, no, I didn't. Gotta download it again. 1 second. Sorry, guys. Stratos, I was like more uncomfortable getting the headshot done than I have for pretty much anything in a long time. Like getting my photo taken was not something I enjoyed, to be honest. But it should hopefully be okay. You guys are probably going to be shocked. Turn down the brightness on your monitors. I don't know. I definitely downloaded these photos because I just got them done last week. But apparently I didn't save it. Yeah, I don't know what I did with it. So now I'm just waiting for it to download again. Maybe I accidentally deleted it before I put it in my Google Drive. Possibility. Also, as I'm looking at this while I wait for the files to download, what font size is that? So that's 22. What did I set these to? Oh, so that is 22. It just doesn't look quite right. Is it a little bit bolder? No? Isn't it funny also how whenever you look at a word long enough, it starts to just seem really odd? Like it doesn't look like it should be a real word. Like I keep looking at this word driven, being like, that's not spelled correctly. It also looks really odd. But in any case, it is correct. All right, so it says 10 seconds left until I can download this photo, and then I'm going to need to open it here in Photoshop and crop it to a square. And then we can use just border radius to make it a circle. I think. If it's a square, yeah, we can do that. Sometimes I will use one of those online tools to like crop it into a circle. Not sure if there's any advantage, one or the other there. All right, let's see. So there's me. Ah, so scary. So let's take a look. Yeah, my subconscious totally did delete the picture. You're absolutely right. Maybe I never saved the photo. That's probably what I did. So I think I'm gonna need to use this one because it's got a bit more of a square vibe to it. I'm probably gonna change this later. Ooh, zoom out, zoom out. Not so big. We're gonna make this a square. Just gonna crop it like that, and then I need to significantly reduce the image size. So we're gonna go, I don't know what size it's gonna be, like 500 maybe? What is it in the mockup here? So this is an image that has, it's actually 385. So why don't we just go ahead and bump it down to 385 because that will save us having to come back and do it later. So I'm gonna save this as downloads JJ new HS for new headshot. That's a JPEG. I know it's not the best format, but we will live. So now what we're gonna do is upload this guy from our downloads here. And then what I'm gonna do is go to borders. I think this is gonna work. Set the border radius to 100%. That does work. It's kind of interesting though, because that photo has a white section at the top. And, huh, that's not something I had anticipated. I wonder how a border would look if I went like a light blue. Oh wait, I did it on the div. Whoops. Where's my Ferrari GTO? That's funny. I know what you're talking about. I wish I had a Ferrari. That would be amazing. Oh man, that's hilarious. Oh no. So my dog does this thing when I stretch where she thinks it's time to go play. That is not the case. Not even slightly, dog. Solid. That border is solid. Yeah, Stratus, I like your idea about a box shadow. Let's check that out. Effects, box shadow. We're gonna go super light on it. We're gonna go like 10, 11, whatever. I can't get the slider to be perfect. That's okay. Let's go like 250. Does that even show up? Oh yeah, it does. We just need a bit higher opacity on the box shadow itself. That looks fine. Actually, I kind of like that. Maybe that's not the perfect level of like shadow and stuff, but it actually works perfectly fine. So I'm totally fine with that. Moving on. So we're going to go over here to this div. I don't know exactly how to, whoops, always dragging the wrong thing in Photoshop. Let's see here. Wait, so it made your name orange. Why did it do that? I was just looking to see. I don't know why. Clicked on the wrong thing. Oh, I guess it's because it just tagged me. Anyway, I was just curious why my name popped up orange in the chat. I guess it's because I got tagged. Anyway, not sure exactly how to export that asset, so I'm not going to worry about that right now. I think what I would have to do is probably make another div and set that as the background of the div. So now what we're going to do is add a heading. We're going to set this to, actually we're going to set this to headline h2, and then we'll add another class for headline, like blue, I guess. So our headline h2, we're going to set to the tag of h2. The font size was 36. What was the font? Wait, so it's bold. I'm guessing bold is 700. I think that's correct. Then on our class of headline blue, I'm going to set this color to whatever the correct blue is here. I don't actually know. It's the 254679, and I'm not sure what I named that color. 254679 is the link color, so it's that one, a little bit darker. So why choose us is the question. And then on this headline, I'm going to add 15 pixels of margin beneath that. We just have a simple text element here. Oops, not ext. We're going to go text. Paste that guy in there, and then we have a button that says learn more. I often like to save a bit of time and basically just clone the button and pop it down in here. I'm going to bump up this margin to 25 pixels there and also on the heading itself. Change this button text to learn more. Oops, learn more, like that. And then I'm basically just going to take this button and send it to the about page, which is not done yet. Basically, none of the other pages are ready to go except this one. And then I guess I'm going to need to middle align that content. Yeah, we'll go middle align. And then I'm not sure exactly how the designer made these elements like that. Can we mark that for export? I don't really know how that's going to work. Is it two separate elements or does it do it as one? Let's see here. In that case, it's two, but can't you do like an export selected? Maybe it's not selected. Isn't there a way to do it to where it like combines them into one image? Is it export batch? Maybe it's not export batch. I'm gonna press this, but I don't know. Oh no, that's not what I want to do. There's a way in XD to where you can like export combined assets like that, and it puts it into one image file. Make component? No. No, I don't know how you do that. So this, I used an image element, but I actually probably want it to be, maybe if you go like div inside of a div, could I put my, I'm gonna add a text element here so I can get the image inside of that and delete the text. Oh yeah, let's see. So I chose component instead of group. Group. Now do I export it? Mark for export. Export. Did that do it? Yes, yes it did. Cool. Okay, so now we have that. So let's go to div, background, browse, upload, group 1, and then do we need to make our image smaller? Maybe the background needs to be positioned differently. Fixed. There it is. Manual, 350 by 350. Huh. It's also, wait, what if I remove this image? Then can you see that background? Okay, so there it is. So if we set it to cover, then what if we add like 15 pixels inside of it? Yeah, Stratos, I will never ever make an XD tutorial video. That's absolutely the truth. I wonder if it's got something to do with the fact that I set the border radius in here. So 100%. Well, there's the blue line. I guess the white one doesn't show up because, well, what, is this a different background color? Oh yeah, so this section has a slightly different background color. So let's change this. Even still though, you can't really see that white line, but I do kind of like the blue line around it. Okay, so at least we accomplished that. So basically the solution here was I added another div. I popped in 15 pixels of padding for the div, then put my image inside of there, and then that's about it. Did I set anything different on the, oh yeah, I set the blue and white kind of border image as my background of that div and set it to cover. That's about it. So there we go. You can't see that white one. I'm wondering if maybe it's not positioned properly. I'm just gonna delete this real quick and see if it's still there. Yeah, I don't know. In any case, I'm happy with that. That looks fine. I'm gonna move on here. So the next up is another section that has kind of that blue to darker bluish black gradient transition. So we're gonna pop in another section here. And then we're gonna go to advanced, background, gradient, add 2 colors. Basically the same thing that we did before. So it's lighter blue on one side. I don't know which blue it actually was. And then it's the darker one on the other side. Our angle is 120 degrees, so it goes left to right. And then we have more or less a 40-60 column split is what it looks like. But I'm going to manually build this div so you guys can kind of see how I typically would do this. So I'm going to go add div. This first one is going to be kind of the main wrapper of the whole columns element here. So I'm going to set that to a width of 100%. Let me minimize this stuff here so you can see how I'm doing this. Inside this main div, I'm going to go div, and this one's width is going to be like 40%, I think I said. We're going to duplicate that one and then just change this one to 60% width. And then we're going to go back to this kind of main wrapper div right here, set that to horizontal, and then that way the divs fit side by side. Then in this leftmost one, we have this element on the left side, and I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to get that out. Because when I exported it earlier, it didn't quite come out how I wanted it to. Maybe let me try that again. And then I'm gonna like basically see, it's like impossible for me to select all this stuff. So can I mark that for export? Yes. And then export that. Did it work? No, it like got this whole section. What? I just don't understand why it's so difficult to select this stuff in XD. See, like, I don't want that. I want... Good Lord. All right. Come on. Select. 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 And then it's like, I don't want... I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'll see if the designer can export those elements for me, and then I'll come back to that later. So we have a heading on this side, and this one is white. So we're basically going to use those same kind of stat classes that we used earlier. So this one was headline h2, and I'm just going to add that headline h2. And then this one we're going to go headline white, because of course this color is going to be white this time and not blue. And then that says we've got your online back. I'm going to copy this text so we have that. We've got your online back. And then the headline element here, let's add, I think I did 25 pixels of margin. Let's go text, paste this in. Something I try to do every now and again is set the div itself to have a typography color of white if everything inside of it is going to be white. It just makes it a bit easier so you don't have to set everything manually to whatever color you're working with. The other thing that I didn't consider was the line height of this stuff. So it looks like the line height is right here, which is set to 24 something. So I'm guessing if I set this to line height of like typography, line height to 2, that does look way, way better. So I'm going to do the same thing up here, line height to 2. Andrea says, with the darker section background, you can see the white line, something like F1. Oh, okay. Let's try that. Oh yeah, there it is. You can kind of see it a little bit. I'll even go a little bit darker so you guys can see what I was trying to find was basically this white border right there, and then there's the blue one. So I think it was like, let's go F1. It's a bit darker than I like, but I guess maybe what I could do to kind of offset that would be remove that one, so that one's white. Even still though, it feels a bit off me. So that'll be fine. Even if people can only see the blue one, I don't really care. Okay, so we've got your online back. That text is basically the end of that. It says, I think you must create the border image with transparent center and make it over the image. Yeah, that's okay. It looks fine as it is. So this section will be a couple more divs. So we're basically going to have one, you can kind of see the layout here. So like that would be one div. Then you would have one on the left that contains the icon and one on the right that contains the text. The border overlaps the image in XD. Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That image does overlap. I didn't realize that. You must create the border image with trans. Yeah, because it's not quite as close to the image there as it is in the actual live site, but that's okay. All right, so in this side, we're going to add another div here, and I'm going to call this like home features divs, something like that. This one's width is going to be 100%. We're We're going to set this to stack horizontally and then add another div inside of this. This one is going to have a width of, I don't know, like 25%. And the next one is going to have a width of 75% to take up all the rest of the space there. Inside this one, we're just going to add an image. And this is going to be our icons here. So our icons are better performing website, which is like the picture of a website looking thing. I don't see that one, so I'm just going to slap this guy in there for now. Yep, that one's fine. Then revenue and support. Okay. So how big are these images? It is 50 pixels high. So we're just going to set this to 50. Set this to center and middle align. Then we're going to pop in a heading element. This is 22, so let's set this to like H3. So we're going to set this heading to have a class of headline H3, and then headline white. So we basically already have all that stuff done for us. And then I should probably come up with a class for that margin that I'm adding to the bottom of these headings, but instead I'm just going to pop some margin into the ID. And then well, actually, we don't even need the margin in this case because the heading is like right on the text. So let me get rid of that. And then this one we called better performing website. Beneath that, we're going to add a text element. Copy that. And then here's an example of where it makes sense to set the typography to white. And in fact, you could even just do it on this main div here. So typography of white is going to basically change every element that doesn't already have a color set to white, which is nice. And then what I'm going to do from here is basically, well, first, let me set some margin beneath that. Then just duplicate this 2 times. And then we had, what was the next one? Generate more revenue and ongoing support. So we had the dollar value thing here. And then ongoing support was what icon? Basically like the little thingy, the like revo meter with the up arrow like that. Generate more revenue and then ongoing support. All right. Probably need a little bit more space to breathe beneath these elements here. So I'm going to go 25 pixels. And then those are kind of hard to see. I wonder if it's because the gradient doesn't quite take over where I want it to. You know, like it's darker in the actual mockup here than it is, whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Darker in the mockup here on that side of the screen rather than in the actual live site, which is absolutely the case. So let's go back to our section under advanced background and gradient. And I guess for the darker part, can we use a percentage and set that at like 50%? Yeah, perfect. We basically can just push the gradient more to the center of the screen there. So that looks pretty good. And then we probably need to set this leftmost div to a bit less than 25% because the icon is much closer to the text than it is currently. So let's go 15 maybe? 15. And then here's a case where I want some extra spacing between these 2 divs. So if I go like, let's bump this one down to 35%, then see, the second div here, whoops, second div here is set to 60. So 60 plus 35 is 95. So what I can do is go back to my main wrapper div here and set these to space between. There we go. For some reason the button didn't click it first. Now there's just a bit of extra space between these 2 divs, which I actually like quite a bit. So I'm happy with this. Feels like there's something missing right here. I guess the alignment is just a bit off, but I feel like there should be some call to action right there, but there's not. So that's okay. All right, so let's save this. And then in the mockup, the next bit is supposed to be this thing that says transparent pricing, but I messed up the file here. So let me, how do you just close one? Can I just open this again? Oh no, it's not gonna let me do that. Let me open up XD again. And then I'm basically just gonna pick this guy. Oh no, I accidentally saved it. I lost the the background color on that. wonder if I just open the original file or if I'm going to have to re-download. There it is. Okay, so this is the next bit, which is this thing for transparent pricing. And this is something that I personally do in my business, which is I have the pricing on my website, at least like base fees, so people can get an idea. And a lot of times when people call me, they've already seen my base pricing so that they at least have an idea of what to expect, which is great because then they have, they're not calling and it turns out that they're not able to afford the services, which is great. Okay, so transparent pricing, how tall is this section overall? It's only 125 pixels high. And our fill color is 4.6. So let's add a new section in here. Background color is kind of that dark. And then we're basically just going to have everything stacked horizontally. Hey, Thomas, no worries that you're late, man. This is going to be a replay. Pretty much as soon as I turn off the stream, it seems like the replay is available on YouTube, so don't worry there. So back in XD, we have a heading, this little thing, some text, and then a button. So that one is 36. So let's again add our heading element. We're going to go headline H3, headline of white, transparent pricing. And then I actually don't remember what size the H3 was. I guess we need to maybe set that as H2. Headline H2, and that's 36. So yeah, that's the one we actually want. So transparent pricing. And then next up is the little like dot icon, but I don't have that at the moment. So I'm not gonna worry about that. This particular text element is 380 pixels wide. So I'm gonna add a text element and I'm going to just set a max width of 380 pixels. Max width of 380. Pop this guy in there. And then let's go ahead on this actual section here and set the typography to white. There we go. Does that have a bolder font? No, not really. The regular size. And then a white button that says view plans and pricing. So in here, I'm just going to use a button element again. And then let's set the section to middle align and then space between. I'm going to set this text to typography of center like that. And then what classes did we use on these buttons up here? So we have button new. So I'm just going to add that class in here. So button new. And then let's go button new white as our new class. So our button color is going to be a transparent background, and then when you hover, maybe it will just do the inverse. The button color we can just set to, basically white or whatever, and then transparent. Our text color is white, so that's fine. Let's go to border, set that to white, solid like that. And then our hover effect actually is pretty much what I want it to be. It's just going to change to that hover, so that's pretty cool. So there's an advantage of stack classes. We don't have to design the hover effect or add the transition or anything because that's being inherited from our button new class that we already added. So then what does the button text say? View plans and pricing. View plans and pricing. And that one capitalized? No, it's not. What about the rest of them? Did I just make a mistake here and didn't actually? Oh yeah, the button text is uppercase. So in this case, what I'm going to do is go to button new, advanced typography, and click uppercase. Now all those buttons are going to be, oh no, what did I do? There we go. Now all those button texts are going to be uppercase. Looks good. So I'll need to figure out how to get that, the little branding icons in between the stuff, but that's okay. Not too worried about that right now. Back to XD, we have this section for testimonials. I'm not really too sure what this background image is, but oh, there it is. Okay. So mark for export. And then there's some kind of blue overlay. So it's that kind of blue color. So we'll add a new, actually I'm going to go back down here so the section adds to the right spot. I'm going to add a new section. The background image is going to be whatever we just threw in here. So that section image, I'm going to set that to cover. And then I usually like to just go left 50% and then top 50% like that. So the image is like center. Then there is a blue overlay on it. So we'll go image overlay color, just use this one, set that to like, I don't know what it would be, 50% maybe? It doesn't look like in XD you can see what the actual percentage is set to, unless I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just selecting, oh, it's the overlay. That's what it is, not the actual image itself. Is it? Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna guess. Not too worried about it. It looks like it's a bit darker blue. Let's go like 65%. Oh, it's so hard to get the slider dead on. Arch Computing asks, what SEO techniques are you using on images? I mean, really the only thing is naming the photos and then making sure you have alt tags, which is something I usually do after the fact. I don't really worry about it in real time because you'll notice these image names are not at all descriptive, but I'll go back and rename them like in the WordPress admin dashboard. So we have this 36 size heading. So this section again, let's go typography and set this to white. Pop in a heading here. We're gonna go headline H2 and then headline white as our classes here. Track record. So center this. That was size 36, right? Yes. Okay. So then the text, we'll just copy and paste in from here. Text like that. I wonder if, can you set the line height for your body text? Yeah, I'm going to change the line height to 2 across the board because it just looks so much better. And then that has a width of 780 pixels. So I'm going to set this text element to have a max width of 780 and then typography of center. And then what's next? So we have this little guy, little like branding thing. Mark for export. I just want to see if maybe that worked. Did this work this time? Oh, it actually did. So I guess I'm just not selecting the right elements in XD, which is why it's giving me so much hassle. So now let's toss in that image, the little dot icon that we just added in. All right, so 15 pixels. And then on this image, once again, yeah, Stratos, that's the best way to do it. That's the way that I typically like to do, is just rename before you actually upload. And sometimes it does, take a bit of extra effort, but obviously in this case, I'm not like taking the time to actually rename the images, but usually I try to be really descriptive with them. And then we have this white box that's more or less going to be a slider. So there's a couple ways you could go about this. So you could build a slider manually using something like swiper.js. You could use the carousel builder from Oxy Extras, or you could just use, tabs. What am I going to do here? I guess you could just use the standard oxygen slider too. It's just not going to be dynamic. What's going to be the best option here? I think I'm just going to use the oxygen slider for now. Not the best thing in the world, but it'll be perfectly fine. So this has a width of 580. So let's just set that to 600. So the max width here is going to be 600 pixels. Pretty small, but whatever, it's fine. And then the background we're going to set to white for the whole slider element. Then let's add like 15 pixels padding. Then for our slider styling, I think we want to go lighter, or no, darker. Our dots don't change though. Oh, the dot color is there. Whoopsie. I'm going to go blue, use our brand blue here for our dot color. And then for our slides, how wide is the actual text here? So that's 380. So let's set this max width to 380. Slider configuration. Maybe we don't want to do that. Actually, I'm not going to bother with that because there's already the max width set on the slider element itself. So we have our slide, and what we're going to do is add a text element here. We're going to change this to slider, actually testimonial text, and then we're going to add in a heading element. We're going to drop this to like H3, and we're going to add testimonial name as our class. The name is, let's see, font size 18. We're going to bump that down. I'm going to change the text color here to whatever blue is appropriate. Is it that light blue? Kind of our darker blues, the 254 actually. That one there. And then we're just going to name this John Doe. And then the text color here, the text itself, we're just going to copy in. Testimonial text, we're going to change the typography color to 1C, which is basically just our standard body font color, as you can see. There we go. Looks reasonable enough. And then I'm basically just going to duplicate these slides a couple of times. And then I'm just going to delete these empty slides down here. Save that. Save, and then although our content here doesn't actually have anything real in it, that's okay. And then we have a button down here that says see our work. So let's design that real quick. So underneath our slider element, we're going to add in a button. I wonder if this is going to go inside the content. Yes, it did. That's not what I want. Go down here. Slider, let's add some margin, like 25 pixels. I think we need to bump up the margin underneath that little icon here to 25 as well. Let's give it a bit of breathing room. And then our button classes. So button new. And then this one here is a little bit different. So it's not quite white. It's kind of, I guess it's similar, but it's more or less the inverse. So I'm going to add another class here of button inverse like that. We're going to set the button color to white. And then the text color is our deep blue like that, right? Yes, except our font weight is a bit thicker. Not font family, font weight. 700. And then see our work. Our hover on the inverse is not ideal. So hover typography, text color will be white, right? That didn't make a difference. Not ideal. Background color. Button color would be our dark blue. And then the original state. Yeah, so that's what I want. Is it basically just to flip colors like that? Once again, we didn't have to add our that hover transition, timing effect, because that's coming from the button new class. You need more room under the icon as you're forgetting the quote icon. Ah, yes, indeed. So mark that for export, and then export that bad boy. Then let's add in another image real quick. Upload our little quote icon. I feel like there's a, actually, you know what? We could just use a quote icon probably from like an icon set. That might be a better option. But you know what? We could just basically use some negative margin here. Then on this, we're going to set the layout to a z-index of like, I don't know, 15 or something. And then what's the spacing like between this stuff? So it's 21 pixels beneath that icon above the quote. So we're just going to set this, well, it's 25 right now, so I'm just going to leave that. And then I feel like this is a little bit too low on that negative margin, so let's go negative 10. That doesn't seem quite right. Maybe it's negative 12. And then what's our spacing like between, oops, the stuff here? So it's 50 pixels. So we do need some extra spacing around the slider. So Thomas, the reason why I wasn't using it as SVG is because I was talking earlier in the stream about having short pixel installed, and short pixel claims that it's going to automatically serve the correct image type. So really what I'm going to do is put short pixel to the test and see if it's actually serving up the correct image format automatically for me without me having to, upload it as the correct format. So we'll see. Okay, so that track record stuff looks pretty good. Thanks for the reminder on the quote icon, Thomas. And then I think we're down to the very last section after this. So this is going to be the final section here. This is the Calendly booking plugin that I have. If you don't use Calendly, you certainly should, because it is really, really awesome. It's amazing how often people will book calls, and I've never talked to them before. Pretty cool. So what is this one? 54. So this is going to be like an H1 basically. So we're just going to add this as, I'm just going to change it like this. Font weight 700. Talk with an expert. And then book a 30-minute discovery call. That's going to be our blue. And then all capital, and it's 18. Typography uppercase. And then let's take away some of this line height here. So that, and then do we have margin underneath this? Yes, we do. So maybe I'll add 10 pixels of margin, give it a little bit of breathing room, something like that. And then we basically just have our Calendly embed. So that's right here, but how wide is that? Oh yeah, talk with an expert. Wouldn't the W in with though be capitalized? That seems like it would be. Talk with, and then the A in and is not capitalized. The name of the calendar plugin is called Calendly. So it's right there in that little badge. Calendly is what it's called. I'll show you on the front end here in just a minute. I meant to look and see how wide is this whole thing. Basically 900 wide. So I'm going to set this code block to a max width of 900. And then I wonder if I need to modify this script in here. So min width is 320, height is 700. Yeah, the height, excuse me, the width is not actually defined there. And then that's about it. So let's go ahead and save this. And then it doesn't render on the back end, but if we go take a look on the front end, cool. So that's starting to look pretty good. I'm happy with that. This stuff looks pretty good. The spacing is a bit off here, so I want to maybe decrease the spacing between those two sections right there. Then this section might need a little bit of tweaking, but it looks okay. Happy with that. Transparent pricing looks okay. Got that transition hover effect. Got our slider here with testimonials that I'll input later. And then here is, oh gosh, we need to fix this. The height is not high enough. But this calendar plugin, they have a free plan, which is all that I've ever used. So the free plan works perfectly fine. You can basically just come in here, pick a time on my calendar, and then what happens is you input your name, your email, you pick whether it's a phone call or a Zoom call, and your current info, and then it's going to put it on your calendar and also mine automatically, which is pretty cool. So we need to set this height a bit higher. So this width height is 670. I feel like I defined the height in here, so let's go like 700 pixels. And then if we save and take a look on the front end, is that high enough now? Oh man, why is it scrolling so high? Maybe it's because of the code block height. If I just don't define a height, I wonder if it will work properly. Kind of annoying. I don't feel like it used to do this. Maybe it's because I set that max width possibly, and it's not liking that. I wonder what happens if I take that away. Does it then? Oh wait, I set the width at 100%. Max width is 900. This is a little bit of trial and error here because I'm not sure why it's giving me that scroll bar. Okay, so I do want it to be set at 100% width. And then the code actually says style min width is 320, height is 670, but I set it higher than 670 and it still has the scroll bar. So I don't really know. Really odd. I wonder if this section has a defined height. No, it doesn't. So I guess I'll just set this height, or like min height maybe. Let's just go 700 pixels of the min height. Save that. Refresh. Whatever. I don't really know why it's doing that, but I'll just leave it as is. That's going to be fine. So that is basically the home page of this site done, built. The only thing that I haven't done is a mobile sweep. So let's go check that out, and then I am going to have to call it quits for the day. So let's go back to our Oxygen template for the main kind of site-wide component. Edit with Oxygen. All right, so I use the Pro menu this time, and that's how we got these effects right here. The mobile menu, let's drop down to less than 992. Oh gosh, everything disappeared. So less than 992, this div, I think we need to set to a width of 100%, right? Where did it all go? I messed it up super bad. Oh wait, I'm setting the width on the wrong div, that's why. So div width 100%, right? I think I was messing this up by using minimum width 140 and maximum width 1440. So I think I need to get rid of that. Change this to 100%. And then need to do the same thing over here. This div 100%. Save that. Oh, the overflow of the calendar plugin? Yeah, I could certainly do that. Okay, so there we go. So I fixed that. I just had the settings wrong. I needed to set the width to 100% and not actually set a minimum and maximum width of a pixel. All right, so now on the mobile version, this is going to be pretty much stretched all the way. Bye, Stratos. Thank you so much for joining. See you next time. So this div here, I'm going to go 15 pixels left and right, so there's a bit of spacing. Same thing with this div, so it pushes the logo and the menu off the edges of the screen just a tiny little bit. This mobile menu, I don't like at all. So let's go ahead and check out this option here. So mobile menu, open icon layout. What do we want our icon to be? Maybe is there just like a stack, like some lines? I think there's a pretty good looking one in linear icon. So we'll go menu. Circle. I kind of like the circle one. That looks pretty good. So the menu text, I don't actually want any menu text at all. I think it's typically pretty self-explanatory what that is on a mobile device nowadays. 30. Not actually, what is the default size here? I guess it is 30. So the 35 pixels looks pretty good to me. Icon color is good. Icon hover color. We'll just go like our dark blue. I know you're not really going to be able to see that, and you certainly won't be hovering on mobile, but that's okay. Icon transition, we'll drop that to 0.2 seconds. And then our mobile menu. Close menu styles. Let's see here. I don't want the full screen one, so menu styles off canvas is what I want. I want it to slide in from the right. Off canvas animation is going to be fade right, I believe. Nope. Fade left. Why is it still popping in on the left? Is it not doing it in the builder, but it will on the front end? Take a look. Inspect. Go iPhone. We got some issues here, obviously. Okay, so that does actually work. So we need to define a width, I believe, for that content. What's pushing off the page? Oh, all this stuff. Basically these divs that I manually created, I need to go fix. Okay, so that works. The off-canvas width, let's just go like 50% of the page. I wonder if that'll look kind of wonky. It certainly might. Link padding, we'll go 15 pixels on the bottom. Container padding, let's go 25 pixels all the way around. Text item align center, I guess. And then the close icon, I just want, wait, let's see. Close is an X. No, what would be kind of like a close, maybe like a back. Gosh, I hate these names for some of these icons. They're just not, they don't make sense sometimes, you know? All right, we'll just find one real quick. Just looking for like a return. Oh, there we go. So the X is called cross. Like what? Come on. And then I don't want the word close to be on there. That's fine. Actually, the center text doesn't look very good. So I put that in the menu styles, I believe. Left. And then container padding. I think I just want to eliminate the padding altogether. And then I think that's about it. I think that'll be fine. Okay, so the background, maybe let's go like a slightly off-white so it kind of stands up a little bit off of the page. And then that's about all I need. So front end, we're going to go inspect here, and we're going to take a look at our menu. That looks fine. Let me check on my real phone real quick why that that background color doesn't stretch all the way to the bottom. I want to see if on my actual phone it does. Maybe once we have the all the mistakes with like those kind of like containers and stuff fixed, if it will work properly. No, it looks exactly the same on my real phone as it does in Chrome Inspect. So why don't we go ahead and go back and fix some of those layout issues that we have, and then we can come back to this. Edit with Oxygen. Calendly works with a height of 950 pixels. Oh, okay, cool. I'll take a look at that here in just a second. So this section, I believe, was getting kind of messed up here. So we're going to stack this one. We're going to stack this one at less than 992. This div is going to have a width of 100%. And then let's go 25 pixels of margin. These divs we want to set to 100% width at this point, along with that kind of main container div. Well, that looks fine. Probably down until 768. We'll stack it. And then we're going to set, let's see, let me open my structure pane real quick. And then this div needs to bump out to 100%. And I unfortunately didn't set a class on that div, which wasn't very smart, so I'm having to do this manually. That's okay. Okay, so that's fixed. This one is certainly not fixed. Let's jump back up to 992 and stack this section. I'm going to pop some margin underneath all of these sections, all of these elements, perhaps I should say. And then this one looks okay. That one looks fine. Our footer is not fine, so we'll need to fix that in just a moment. I think I made the same mistake where I set the min and max width to 1440 pixels instead of using that 100% width. So we'll fix that in just a moment. And then Andrea says the Calendly works with the height of 950 pixels. So let's set the code block to a height of 950 pixels. I'm going to remove that minimum height, save this, and then let's go take a look, see if that fixes Calendly. So I don't know. I don't get why the scroll bar just doesn't seem to go away, but it's not that big of a deal. I think it'll be fine. Let's look on our Chrome Inspect real quick. What is still messed up? So it's the footer, and that looks like that's all. So let's go fix the footer in our site-wide template real quick. Open anyway. I'm the only one in this site, so there's no issue with us accidentally overwriting our stuff. Moving on down. So open my structure pane here. So this div I have set to, yeah, I did the same thing. So min width is 1440. I'm going to clear that out and set the width to 100%. And then this div, see, is the width just at 100%? Yeah, it is. Okay. So now I don't think I used a columns element here, so I need to step this down a little bit, see what it looks like at the lower breakpoints. That's a little clunky. So let's just go ahead and stack it basically all the way down. We're going to left align this and just add margin beneath each of these divs. That stuff is good, so I don't need to worry about having margin beneath this div. I'm going to go here. I'm actually going to bump these up to 25 pixels instead of 15. And then let's just check all the way down here. Oh wait, actually, you know what? I need to set this div's width to 100% at this breakpoint so it kind of stretches. And then I think I need to add some padding so it's not all pushed up right there along the edge. So this main kind of wrapper div, I'm going to add 25. Oops, I said 25, but I typed 15. 25 pixels of padding. Now if we step down a bit, there's some spacing, some breathing room on the edges of the content there. So that all works perfectly fine. So let's save this again and go take a look on the front end. Double check that everything here is good to go on our mobile device. Now it looks like it's finally working. Looks like I need to shrink the size of that heading a little bit. Our mobile menu doesn't work, probably because I set the width to 50%, so we'll need to fix that. All this stuff fits. Oh, Calendly is a little weird on mobile, the way it scrolls. I need to add some padding around that bottommost div here. So let's go 1440, 992. We're going to do the same thing. Let's just go 15 pixels of padding all the way around. Save that, and then if we refresh, there we go. Now it fits much more nicely. Much nicer, much more nicely. Okay, Andrea says use manual CSS. Okay. So let's do that. We're still on this page. Is it this section right here? Yeah, on mobile it's super annoying, you're right. So let's just save this and go back to our home page. Oh wait, I wanted to fix the mobile side of things real quick on that menu. I think I just need to take off the defined width on the mobile menu here. So let's go mobile menu, drop down to 992. So menu styles, off canvas width. I'm just not going to set a width entirely. So now let's refresh. We'll go back up to the top here. Click this. It still doesn't work. I wonder if it's just in Chrome Inspect or if it's regular phones too. Let me see here. No, it's still messed up on my phone too. Do I need to add some container padding perhaps? See, like the Pro menu, that works. The Pro menu just has a bunch of quirks that make it really annoying to work with. I mean, it works. It's not the prettiest thing ever, but I guess it does the trick. And it also doesn't close when you click off of it. You have to click the X, which I really don't like. So this is a case where to me it just makes more sense to build the links manually because you don't have a very complex menu. So I don't know, we're too far into it now for me to change it. Maybe I'll change it another day off camera, but for the time being, I'm not too worried about it. Okay, we're gonna go edit our home page again and then do just a couple of tweaks here. Dog is scratching the floor because she's trying to get more comfortable. So if you hear weird noises, it's the dog. Okay, so I'm gonna drop this heading size a bit. So it was pretty big. It was like 60. I go like 42, less than 76, 768. Let's go 36, and then less than 480. That looks fine. All right, I'm happy with that. So save, and then Andrea mentioned the Calendly situation here. So I'm gonna basically remove the height off of this And then his suggestion was some simple CSS. So in this code block, let's just toss that in there. So inline widget height of 950 pixels. Let's see if that does the trick. Still doesn't quite work. Do I need to define the height of the code block as 950 as well? Give it a shot at least. So, no. Oh well. Again, it's not the prettiest thing ever, but maybe I'll spend a little bit more time on why it's doing that. I just wish that I hate the scroll bar, and like it's really annoying when you're trying to scroll past it, then you get stuck on it. The other thing that I wanted to mention to you guys is look at how this stuff is lazy loading in. So like the logo, some of these icons, some of these things, just watch when I refresh the page. I'm going to do a hard reload. And you can see like these images are lazy loading in, which is pretty sweet. And that must be the adaptive images plugin, you know, the short pixel stuff that I was talking about earlier. Excuse me, that came on quick. So basically, that is supposed to be a performance benefit. So in the short pixel settings right here, it has the option to lazy load in this stuff and also serve it from a CDN. So I'd like to see how this stacks up on the performance side of things. So let's go to GT metrics. Andrea says try important. Let's do that. Height 950 and important. Apply that code. Save real quick and then hard reload, and let's go take a look. Oh, there's still just the tiniest fraction of a scroll bar. It's so small. We need to go like 975. It's so high. That's an enormous, an enormous widget there. There we go. Okay, so yeah, finally, we just changed the height of the Calendly widget to 975 pixels. And there's finally no scroll bar. That's a pretty tall widget, I will say. Good enough for me though. Yeah, so 975 did the trick. That works. Now let's go back to GT metrics real quick. I wanted to see what our site looks like. So right now I do not have server caching on. I don't have any kind of app caching on. Actually, that's not true. There may be server caching, but there's certainly not application caching on Cloudways. And then as far as plugins go, I have this like kind of, you know, I have a couple of things on here, but that's about it. So there's no like proper caching going on here. All right, let's test this out real quick and see what we get. I don't exactly know what I'm expecting here. I'm sure there's images that are not optimized, but we will take a look and see. Okay, so leverage browser caching. Yeah, we need to turn on our caching, but this stuff is going to be Hotjar, Google Analytics, and Calendly. I don't know how you would fix that kind of stuff, if I'm honest. And then these are Calendly, a bunch of different things. So defer parsing of JavaScript, but this is our score at the moment with no effort. So I need to get that fully loaded time way down, of course. I'd like to decrease the page size quite a bit. And then one thing that I guess I could do is try out the Vultr high frequency servers on Cloudways and see what kind of performance benefit we get there. Thomas says this is not the solution. The height will change depending on the step you are in. What you need to do is make the iframe responsive depending on the content. Ah, yeah, that is true. So I guess you'd have to do like media queries and stuff. Let me look at what that looks like on my actual phone real quick. I'm curious now. Yeah, on my phone it's still very clunky. You like get stuck on the widget And if you don't know to like push your fingers to the far right side of the screen and try to like scroll past it, then you would basically get stuck. That's really annoying. I don't like that at all. Yeah. Well, that's about all I have the time for today, unfortunately. We're kind of similar to last time. We're a bit over 2 hours, 2 hours and 20 minutes. So let me go back up to the top of the screen here and show you guys the end result. So we still have some work to do on mobile, but we were able to build out a whole new template and a whole new homepage today. Hopefully you guys like this sort of format. I mentioned before that I want to do some sort of layout live stream where I kind of like build different oxygen layouts in real time, but that will be for another day. I really appreciate you guys watching, and hopefully you'll participate next time whenever I do this. I'm aiming for maybe every other week, something like that. And if you guys have specific things you want to see next time, don't hesitate to reach out. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in a future live stream or video. So have a good day, guys. Enjoy your Saturday.